What's up, guys? Welcome back for another episode. This is our 32nd episode. I've got a good friend of mine who I've known since almost the entire time I've been in SubTo, Ofek Mormin, right?
Yeah,
And
Ofek Mormin.
he has been he's been a closer for hire. He's now generating his own leads. He's doing his own deals. And what we were talking about just before we kicked off the recording is he's building a team to do wholesale and going direct to agents. So, Ofek, why don't you kind of kick us off, kind of tell us who you are and how you got into like real estate investing?
Okay. So thank you first of all, Adam, for inviting me to this podcast. I appreciate that. And again, we spoke in the past and I see your progress. That's amazing. I will tell a little bit about myself. Uh,
Please.
I'm originally from Israel. Okay, I moved to America almost 2 years ago. I studied how to invest in America from Israel. That was like, the starting point when I was like 22. And since then, I hear about like creative finance in one of the meetups, and I said, that sounds amazing if that's true. That sounds like a scam, but if that's true, I'm gonna do that for sure. So then I go back home after the meetup and I kind of searching on YouTube, seller finance, and the first guy that pop up, it's Space Morby, of course. And I see like 20, 30 videos in the same days, and I said, oh my God, that's crazy. And I get to the point that I just moved by myself here to America. I was like 7 months in Chicago, and then I moved to Phoenix, Arizona to be around all the people in the community. And since then, I'm doing direct to agent. I started with like direct to seller. I spend almost like $10,000 in marketing and SMS campaigns and stuff like that. I was pretty newbie. It was my first month in SubTo, and it didn't work. I lost good amount of money, let's say, and I learned a lesson.
Hmm.
But since then, I said, okay, I'm not gonna spend one more dollar on marketing until I'm gonna do a deal on the market with agents. So that's bring me to a point that I did it for at least 6, 7 months without seeing any results. Every day I'm open on the phone calls, doing mistake, taking action. It didn't work pretty good because I was doing this by myself. And then I start to join a few teams that I think this is where, I started to make deals because I got support. And I wish,
Hmm.
if people that watching that, seeing that it's very important if you just started and you are in a point that you really don't know what to do, just join a team. People that already have done it, it's gonna help you to make the process 10 times faster. So for me, at least, that was just the start. I started to do deals with other teams until 4 or 5 months ago. I get to a point that I opened my own team. There is also people here in the Zoom that it's in my team, and we're making like 3 to 5 deals a month right now. If it's JV, if it's direct to agent, and basically it was amazing, journey, let's say, and I'm very excited, to be part of this community in the SubTo and all of that. So that's about me.
When did you join SubTo, by the way?
September 2023.
Okay, I thought so. In that timeline, I kind of recognized. I was like, okay, yeah, I met you when you were on the teams or going through the teams, and kind of getting your feet underneath you. And it sounds like you said, that you've gotten a little bit of traction now that you've got a team and y'all are going through and you're doing direct to agent. What markets are you guys in?
So we are in like the five main markets: Texas, Colorado, Phoenix, Las Vegas, and Atlanta. Yeah, that's the
Nice.
the markets that we're focusing on. Just because, as a wholesaler, it's not just about go to one place that I like. It's more about, okay, where I can find buyers. So that's
Yeah.
the strategy behind that.
Okay, and you're having better luck finding more buyers in bigger markets like that.
Oh yeah, yeah.
What about the agents? Because we were kind of talking about this before the recording started, but like that's one of the things that most people in Sub 2 that I found they dread, right? They're like, oh, I don't want to work with agents. Agents don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're talking about. There's no deals on market. You're clearly an example that that's not the case. What would you say to those people?
So I think it's more about agents are really don't know what they're doing. 99% of them are really, you know, don't do their job. And everybody that doing direct to agent can say that, because when you're trying to buy a house and you're trying to get more information, you're trying to reach out to this type of agents to just know a little bit more about it. And the first sentence they're gonna tell you, send me an offer without even tell you about the house. That's tough. This is why a lot of people that doing
Hmm.
direct to agent, they kind of quit after 2, 3 months because they're saying, okay, I can't make money here. But what I understand after a period of time that I'm doing that, if you're gonna see me making the calls, and also people in my team can tell you, 99% of the time when I'm talking with agents, I'm teaching them. So all of the time that I was trying to explain SubTo and try to pitch stuff, it didn't work because they really don't know what you're talking about. So you need to come as a teacher and start to educate the agent from 0 to 100. So how much equity they have, how you doing seller net sheet, what's the process gonna look like from contract to open escrow to closing, what's the timeline. I'm kind of, give them what's going to happen in the future and explain them exactly how to do it. And people kind of maybe don't know how to do it or maybe afraid to do it because they get a lot of objections and stuff like that. But I think once you get to a point that you know all the objection and you can kind of, build good rapport with this type and can show credibility, you can show deals that you have done in the past, it's gonna help you for sure. Because there is agents that, talk with me and I can tell, hey, I can send you like 5, 10 agents that we just closed deals with if you want just to call them. We have the same conversation like you and me have, and you can just, reach out to them and ask them how is to work with me. So once you build that type of credibility, it's gonna help you in the future. So you need to build that on the momentum, I think.
Yeah, and that makes sense. Yeah, you have to build momentum with anything. What would you say is kind of the biggest difference between going direct to seller and direct to agent, seeing that you've done a little bit of both?
So for me, I think I like to talk with people. Okay. That's I guess my personality. So with direct to seller, it's more like, what do you want? Who are you? Why are you calling me? They are very aggressive. And on the other side, direct to agent, it's more a conversation of, yeah, my client is want to sell the house. Let's talk numbers. So
Hmm.
instead to find those, I'm doing also direct to seller sometimes. I have right now, for example, in Atlanta, one direct to seller. It was on the market and it's go expired. So I reach out to the seller and now we're interested to this up to deal. But it's not my go-to. I have another person on my team that doing like, SMS campaigns to sellers. We're trying to do that, but I'm more focusing on direct to agent because for me at least, it's more easy.
Chris said that Atlanta in the house here, baby. Yeah, Chris is out there in Georgia.
Oh yeah.
Um, yeah, he is. He's a good dude. He came past through on his way to Phoenix a couple months ago and stopped here in New Orleans, and we went and got coffee.
Okay. Yeah,
But
curious if you're buying there, I have something for you.
I don't know if he is buying or not.
Yeah, let's chat. Let's chop it up then.
Yeah, man. Can
Yeah,
do it.
yeah. Y'all swap info while we're here in the side chat, and it's always good to get a deal going when you're on a podcast. Why not?
Yeah. Again,
We've done it before.
a lot of people that do direct to agent, I will say it's very, very difficult. It's not easy. People that watching and considering what to do, that's something that you need to have a lot of consistency going because it's something that you need to do daily and it's a work. This is why, to have a team, when you get to a point that you need to have all the follow-ups and contracts and LOIs, do all the you can't do everything by yourself. There is no way. If you're gonna do everything by yourself, the maximum that you can do is maybe 1, 2 deals, maybe. But if you want to get to a point that you're doing like 4, 5, 6, 7, 10, you need to have people.
Well, and I like what you were saying about when you reach out to the agents, you lead with value, right? Like you're not just throwing them an LOI and hoping that they understand what you're talking about. You're explaining to them, right? You're kind of just you're busting all the myths along the way, like, yes, sub 2 is legal. This is how it works. This is what it's going to look like from start to finish. So what does that process look like for you? Like, how can you walk us through? If I was a new agent, I've never heard of sub 2, what would you tell me?
First of all, to be honest, I believe, in how do you know that you're a really good sales, if you are really good in sales? I guess
Hmm.
the answer should be, I don't think I'm a salesperson, it's not, I just see if there is any problem that we can solve. Because if I can't solve your problem, we're just wasting time. So this is also what my team doing when they calling agents. It's more about filtering. So if you have a list of like 200 people, you need to know that not all of the 200 people need to do SubTo. So
Hmm.
our job is to qualify these type of people and to understand, okay, maybe 90% don't need me, but maybe 10% need me. I need to find who is this 10%. So you're doing it by asking questions, right? So you're trying to understand the situation, why they're selling the house, what's the motivation, what's the timeline. And then I can say, you know what? I think SubTo it's not the right fit for you. You should just wait for the right buyer and sell it on the market. And when you come with this type of attitude that, people can call it like a pullback, but when you come with this type of attitude, people come and say, why you don't want to do a subject to here? And I'm saying because it's not good.
Hmm.
It's not gonna be a good fit for a client.
Yeah, and then at that point, you're not trying to force the deal. Like, you see
No.
that all the time in sales where like you might be the third or fourth person that they've talked to, they're frustrated, and then they try to force it.
Yeah, no, don't try to force it. I don't want to, I want to work with people that want to work with me. You have a problem, I have the solution. I can walk you through the whole process. But if you guys selling the house and I'm the buyer, let's just, let's get the seller on the call. Let's see what's going on. I think the goal is to get the sellers on the phone as soon as possible. If you see that you are a good fit for them. A lot of people, trying to send LOI and then send, talk with. But I believe that, once you tell the agent, hey, I know that it's not your, you're not expert in this subject. Let's just hop on a phone call. If you can add them right now, tell them you have a buyer that's willing to pay full asking price and bring them on the call. And then bring them on the call, and then you have a conversation for like 40 minutes with the seller. And now if the seller like you and trust you and you build enough credibility and rapport, and you explain the process like you should do, um, I guess from there it's easy.
What's the few of the questions that you do ask to qualify to make sure that they're good for sub 2?
So what I like to do with a lot of agents is to do with them like a seller net sheet. But before that, I'm asking, just the basic questions. I see they bought a house like 3 years ago. There is something wrong with the house or with the neighborhood? Why they're selling so quick? Oh, they need to move to Florida. They have blah, 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 blah. Okay. Okay. So why not just rent it out? Why selling that? And then you dig inside more, information, and you trying to get understanding what's going on, because that's probably the last resort. This is why it's on the market. So I'm trying to see how motivated them, and if they're saying, yeah, they just put it on the market. If they didn't gonna sell it, all good. Okay, I move on to the next one.
So what does that motivated seller look like? Like, what are they looking for that, what problems are you seeing that you can solve the best and the fastest?
So there is, for example, right now we have one that I can give example that it's like 350 purchase price. The more is 348. Now, when you sell a house on the market, if people don't know, Pay's talking about it all the time, you have 8 to 10% in expenses. You have 3% to the buyer agent, you have 3% to the seller agent, and you have 2% closing costs and let's say concessions and whatever. So if you're gonna take from 350 in this example, like 10%, it's 35,000. So probably if they owe 348 and the payoff is like 315 to the mortgage, they will need to come out of pocket like 35,000. And sometimes the agent, 90% of the time, the agents don't know about that. So I'm explaining them. I'm doing with them the math while we're on the phone. I'm telling them, okay, what's the purchase price? Great. What's the mortgage balance? Great. So you telling me they want to sell the house and lose 35,000? Oh, why they need to lose 25,000? And then I'm explaining, and they say, yeah, probably. And I said, okay, so probably I will give you like 1-2% commission, and I will give them maybe 1,000, 1,500, to walk away in their pocket. But instead to lose 35, they're gonna walk away with $1,000 in their pocket. So how is that sound? And they say, yeah, send me an offer, all the time. I can't hear that line anymore. Send me an offer, send me an offer. But I'm saying most of the time, I'm not gonna send you an offer until I know that we have a green light. So let's cover all the things, all the concerns, and then we open on the phone call with the seller. And the questions will come. What happened if you're not making the payments? How I know that you're making the payments? How long it's gonna be in my name? How long you can close? And all that.
That's a good point. A lot of people would take that opportunity, like, oh, send me an offer. I've got it to the finish line, right? Like, I've gotten it as far as I can take it. But you're saying, no, I haven't gotten it as far as I can take it. It's not across the finish line yet. Let's, let's make sure that we have a green light. And I'm guessing that's when you ask them, hey, tell tell your seller, right, that you've got a buyer and he's ready to buy, and we get him on the phone right now.
Yeah. If they want to sell and they're pretty, motivated, let's open a phone call. Well, why are we wasting time? And again, there is not right or wrong, ways to do it. Maybe it's gonna work for me, maybe it's not gonna work for the other person. And also with closer, I believe, you spoke with a lot. Everybody have different style of closing. So for me at least, it's more about the connection and to really show that I care about them, because if it's gonna be fake, you can hear that and you can feel that. So when they see, okay, what happened after you guys closed the house? Where are you gonna live? What's the plan? Let's find you something before you even go. I want to make sure the reason why you're selling the house, you're gonna achieve that. So if your objective, for example, is to sell the house to buy a new one, let's hop on a Zoom call with my mortgage broker. I have a few connections in SubTo, for example, that someone tell me I can't qualify for a new loan. All right, let's go on a Zoom. Let's see what's going on. We will tell you exactly how much you can qualify for.
That makes a lot of sense. And so is that where you guys are finding the most success at right now is in low equity?
Yeah, low equity. We start to do also seller financing a little bit on the market. It's working pretty good, but I guess there you can, if you know how to do the Morbi method, it's gonna be much more easier to get like easy 5 to 7 deals a month when people
Why
come.
don't you explain the Morbi method for people who have never heard of it before?
So Morbi method basically saying you want to sell your house in, like, let's say 500,000, but you want 20% down or 30% down. Now the deal is good, but they want too much down. And I think, people that using Morbi method is either you done really good in negotiating, or either the seller just must to get this type of money for, I don't know, their kids go to college and they need that for studies and whatever the reason is. So basically with the Morbi method, you taking a DSCR loan, you're bringing someone at closing that doing gap funding. So the 20-30% that you need to give to the lender, you bring someone as a private money lender to, send it to the title at closing. And then
Mhm.
you kind of close something with the seller that's saying, okay, I'm going to give you that amount as a down payment, but you're going to pay me back and I'm going to pay to the private money lender. And the rest of this kind of spread, you're going to seller finance for me for no payments in the next 5 years. So I'm going to have only the DSCR loan payments. It's a little bit complicated. The best way to learn it, of course, it's space. Just go on YouTube, Morbi method. But that's just, really briefly how that's the concept work.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I think if you can negotiate yourself into a Morbi method alone, you're a good negotiator. There's a lot of moving parts, and it's difficult to kind of explain to people in the first place.
Yeah, that's complicated, but still you're gonna see a lot of deals that For example, I negotiated a deal in Colorado Springs in seller finance that it was 5% down, 3.75 interest rate for like 10 years balloon, and interest only payments. So the rent is like 2,700 and the monthly payment is like 1,400. So with seller finance, you have a lot of room of negotiation because there is no mortgage.
Yeah, which is beautiful. And like I said, the Morby method is really just kind of like you said, it's financing the down payment, and you're just
Yeah.
figuring that out, and you're more or less using two closes to kind of achieve that.
Mm-hmm. There is so many ways to make money in real estate, but I think you know what's there is a problem in the SubTo community, and it's not a bad problem; it's a good problem. But there is so many ways and strategies and things to do. You know, when you just join this community, you get like, whoa, like you see people that you know posting on the group like checks of $80,000 and 50, and this is what they're doing and lending and everything. But what I didn't understand when I just joined, that I want people to realize that if you're not gonna focus on one thing at a time, you don't gonna achieve nothing. So I
Hmm.
took, for example, the direct to agent, and I said I'm gonna be at least 90 days. I'm gonna do it without, you know, trying to do anything else. And since then, I'm doing that because it started to work, of course. And I just understand it doesn't matter really what you do. Just you need to be consistent. So if you're saying, okay, I'm gonna do direct to seller, first of all, make sure you have money because there is something that called conversion cycle that you have the lead on the first touch. What's going to happen from here until it's gonna be a deal? You need to understand there is like cycle between them. So usually it's like 90 days, 60 days, 70 days, depend on your system and processes. But people need to understand kind of what they're doing before they start to do it. And the best way to do it is to just JV with people that are already doing deals.
Yeah, so we get that advice a lot in the community too, right? Like stick to something, be consistent for 90 days. For those that are wondering, like, what did that look like for you? Like, what kind of action step did you take for those first 90 days to start to build that momentum?
To be honest, I didn't have any CRM. Everything was like in a spreadsheet, nothing fancy, just making calls every day. And trust me, and also one thing that really helped me with direct to agent at least is to go to Closers Cafe to making calls live, and then you get feedback from people that actually doing deals. And then I got to a point that I'm JVing with the people that running this Zoom, and now they are my partners. And that's crazy, you know, to get to a point that you just need to do the calls every day. That's tough to get tons of no. We was playing a game, you know, when I was doing like calls with, you know, people on a Zoom, because also one tip that I really want to share with people, don't do the calls by yourself. Like
Hmm.
my team with making calls every day together on a Zoom, and it's much more fun because you have people that you know. Even if you get 10 no, you still like seeing someone that maybe get a yes, and it just motivated you to do more. Right. So I think, you know, for people that just starting in that to do, for me, I think you need to look on KPIs usually. And the KPIs is very changed from person. And what does that mean? If me and you, for example, gonna make 100 calls, the same listings, maybe I'm gonna get 5 deals, and maybe you're gonna get
Hmm.
one. The reason is because maybe, I don't know, good report, maybe the closing is better, maybe whatever. But as long that you get better, the numbers gonna crunch, gonna be a little bit smaller. But in the start, just make whatever call it a practice or whatever, just make the calls, have someone that give you feedback, that's gonna be amazing. And don't look even on the money. Just look about how I'm getting better. Because a lot of people in SubTo, you know, they start to make the calls and they think they're gonna make like 20,000 in like 2 weeks. It's not working like that. No one, maybe if you have done something like that, you're a very lucky person. But I think to get to a point that you have the skills to do this type of deals, you need to spend at least a few good months.
Yeah, and probably a good amount of dials too, right? Because we see this all the time where, oh, I've been committed to it for 90 days, but in 90 days you made 100 calls. Like that's not
Yeah,
enough. That's not enough repetitions.
no, no. I was doing calls like crazy, man. I was when it just started, I was making like 60, 70 calls a day. And again, I have recordings of that. I was kind of, trying to see the progress of myself. So I was recording the calls when I start to do these calls. And you think like now when I watch it, I'm saying, oh my God, I was so bad. And a lot of people sound like that, when they just started because you don't know what you don't know, right?
Hmm.
Until you see people that doing the thing and you saying, oh my God, okay, I'm super far away from that. But if you don't gonna keep practicing, you're never gonna go there.
What kind of KPIs are you tracking to make sure you're getting better? Are you tracking like your dials, your talk time, your
I think it's about conversation. So there is more quality conversations. So people can call like 2 minutes call conversation. That's not really conversation, right? So I can make 20 calls and maybe let's say, I don't know, 10 of them didn't even answer. And 10 of them that answer, I just had like two people that I actually was on a call for like 10, 15, 20 minutes. So for me, I need at least like 3 to 5 quality calls, you know, that it's like 20 minutes, 15 minutes, 10 minutes, good report. You build something, even if it's not the deal that you're talking with the agent, the same listing, you just build, kind of a relationship with the guy. So for me, it's like at least 3 to 5, but good conversations.
yeah, and by good conversations, you're talking like you said, like probably 20 minutes, maybe more than that. So you're looking at dials, talk time,
Yeah.
and the number of conversations above 20 minutes as your KPIs.
A lot of people that, I see them start, they give up on the leads super quick. And that's mean, you call someone, hey, I'm not interested in SubTo. And they're like, okay, bye. But you know how many calls I had, like, that people tell me that, in the first 10 seconds, and I'm like, what is subject to? What are you talking about? I give them the thing to say, oh man, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't know. And then I'm starting over and then I'm getting the walls down. And now we actually having a conversation and I bring it up just, in a different name. Oh, I'm talking about wraparound mortgage. I don't know what is subject to.
Mm.
So, I'm kind of, you don't need to, because sometimes there is like trigger words that you don't say, you don't say assignment, you don't say subject to, you don't say, all of this stuff that people, because think about it as an agent, when you hear from your friends that they're also agents, if someone offered you subject to, don't do it. It's very dangerous. So now they have walls and they're saying, okay, I'm not going to do that. But if you explain them kind of the process without saying the subject to it, then they're going to say, oh, it actually sounds good.
Yep.
That's crazy that you see a lot of agents like that.
Yeah, you do. I know one personally, local here. Like you said, like, oh, you want to do a bond for deed? Totally different response. Same
Yeah.
thing, same exact thing.
Yeah. Same name. And they still like, this is why, it's so difficult to deal with them. And sometimes, the attitude is so bad. Yeah, what do you want? Yeah, send me an offer. Yeah, no, no, bye. And you're like, man, you trying to sell the house or what? There is a lot of agents that you see like, the attitude and stuff like that. And sometimes I'm telling them, even if it's a deal, I don't want to work with them. No way. So again, it's not easy. Of course, you have, the 90%, but there is also very good agents that say, yeah, I'm doing subject to all the time. We like that. It's helping for a lot of our clients. Let's do it. So you just need to find the unicorn agents. Um, but that's just one aspect. I think, people also need to focus on JV, to if you're in a point that you can help someone and you know something that the other people don't know, and you can help them to write up your contracts and you can help them to dispo and you can help them to close. That's also a big revenue of income. Right now, I have a deal that need to close in a week that one of I think one of my first SubTos that I sell, the buyer, for example, her name is Linda. She called to me like a few weeks ago, and she telling me, "Hey, I'm kind of trying to buy another SubTo right now with like 2.8 interest rate, and I want you to be in this deal because if not, I'm not gonna do this deal." And I'm like, okay. And because I give her such a good like um let's say service, or I don't know, the feeling that I give her when we do our deal. So now when she's doing with another wholesaler, this wholesaler gonna pay me just to be involved in the deal because she's gonna feel more secure.
Yeah, and I find that, like you're saying, agents are a good referral source, and that was going to be one of the other things I was going to ask you is like how many of these agents are you seeing, once you work with them, that they're coming back and bringing you more deals?
So for me at least, it's not happening a lot. There is agents that reach out to you, but that's very unique because they getting so many phone calls a day. Agents getting so many, and I believe in that you need to have a good relationship, and it's very, for me at least, it's very unique because there is so many people in the direct to agent area, and you get a listing, you get like, I don't know, so many calls every day, that they sometimes don't remember you. But what I see and what happened to me is when I sending, for example, an offer and we getting to a point where we almost close that, after like 3 4 months, they reach out back to you because they remember you. That's happened. It's happened to me at least 4 times. That they come back to me after like a few months and say, "Hey, are you still interested to do the SubTo here?" I say, "Yeah, but now we can't give you the cash to start that we said like 4 months ago. It's gonna be lower. Things change. We bought 4 properties in the meantime. Now we're gonna send you a new offer, and then you just lock it up." So that's happened. But that's when you're a long time in the business and you're just sending tons of offers. Sometimes they just got back to you, or if you have a good follow-up system, you're gonna get also these deals.
Yeah, and I find it might be because of the single family space, but I do find that in the commercial space, because we were talking about us looking at RV parks, I only had conversations with 6 different brokers, and 2 of them have sent me additional deals because we didn't fit the market for their other deals. But like you said, it just was leading with like value and education. When they see that you know what you're talking about and you know what you're looking at, then typically they will send you more deals.
Yeah, man, when you cool with them, they cool with you. That's in the end of the day, it's human beings. And I think, there is a lot of people that kind of put them in I don't know, in a bucket, that they are bad agents and stuff like that. But there is so many agents and so many people that need just to get this phone call to saying, "Yeah, we want to sell it subject to, we want to do seller finance, we want, just take it, take the keys. Here you go." The one that I closed like 4 days ago, it's a SubTo that we give $1,000 to the agent, $500 to the seller. And you're like, man, that's for free. You just need to pay closing cost. Come on, what is
Yeah.
59? And we all sold that. Yeah, we make like 7 grand on that. But in the end of the day, it just matter of, making the calls and just, because I'm looking on that in my perspective right now. It didn't was like 6 months ago, but they're waiting for me. I just need to pick up the phone, you know? Because every time that I'm making calls, I see that I have almost a deal. Or every day, kind of, you know. If you get to a point that you're very good on the phone, you can convert a lot of deals in like, man, in a week.
Yeah, and like you said, it's just that mindset shift of like they're waiting for you. You just have to call them until you get to the one that is waiting because they've got that specific problem that you can solve.
Yeah, and once you solve a lot of problems and you're doing this for a long time and you're getting better, so then you just reflect, on your income or the deals that you're doing. Because I think the most difficult thing is to get the first one. That's like the most difficult.
Hmm.
To get the first deal in general in SubTo, you see that like what's the average in the community. Usually it's like 7 to 8 months for people. So once you get this proof of concept, and you have the second, and you have the third, you have the fourth, I think there it start to be easy. But the first one, it's like you need to be strong not to quit. And you need to have people around you that's showing you that it's happening. And that's very difficult because I see tons of people in SubTo that, they have motivation and they start to do the thing. And after like a few months, the motivation go down and down and down and down. And then they're like, they're quitting and they just waste 4 months doing calls and not because sometimes you are that close. And I see people quit and I see their progress and I see how much they're good. In my team, we started, I think it was like 20 people that, I said I want to start big, I know what I'm doing. I want to start teaching people. It's a lot of, time and energy that I'm spending, but if I want to scale and I want to bring up, to a different point, we start 20 right now, we're like 5 or 4, you know? So many people was like 2, 3, 4 months, and then they're like just falling every day. And you see, and I understand it's not easy. It's not for everybody.
Yeah, a lot of people don't stay consistent. They let their motivation kind of go up and down like it's a heart monitor, right? Like you said, like they'll have a spike and they're okay, I'm gonna do this for 3 days, and then it starts to fall back down. And then it's, well, I'm gonna do it again, and then it's gonna fall back down, and they're gonna do it again. And like you said, I've seen people that have been in the community sometimes even for a year or two without
Oh,
a
of
deal, and
course.
they're like, well, I'm working, my other job, or I'm doing DoorDash, or I'm doing whatever to try to like make ends meet just until I get that first deal, until I get that first deal. And it's like, bro, if you just sat down and focused, you would get the first deal, and the first deal would lead to the second deal, would lead to the third deal.
Yeah. And again, I don't think, even like if I was starting right now, if with all the knowledge that I have today, what I will do, I will just generate leads and come to closer, and they're gonna do everything for me. I didn't know that it's gonna be like that. That hey, I can give you just the lead, you're gonna close it, you're gonna display it, you're gonna put the contract, you're gonna do everything for me. Yeah, I'm gonna do it for you. Just bring me the lead. It's a win-win. I'm gonna make money, you're gonna make money. Now, what you're gonna get in return is just not just the money, it's the skill. What I'm teaching you while I'm doing the deal. How we open escrow, how it's work with the TC. You know, people sometimes don't think about it because saying, why would someone do something like that for me? But it's also good for me because if I have like 20, 30 people that come to me with leads and I close for them, I make more deals. They make their first deal, and it's a win-win.
Yeah, and you're walking them through the process, kind of like you were saying earlier about making calls, right? Like to make calls by yourself, it can be disparaging, it can be discouraging. But if you're getting on Zoom and you're getting all these no's, at least like if you and I are on Zoom, we can laugh about it, right?
Yeah,
We can
exactly.
sit here, we can look at each other, we can be like, man, that agent was a dickhead. All right, cool. On to the next
Yeah.
one.
Yeah. This is exactly what we're doing. And that's for me at least because I didn't have this environment, when I just started. That's so fun to see that, people are actually, together in the Zoom and we laughing together and we like even sometimes not making the calls, we're just talking, you know, because it's not just about the business all the time. You need to if you're doing that, so at least try to have fun. Don't suffer. Don't make it like no one like to make calls, let's be honest. Until you get a maybe you get good with that. But people prefer to go travel and have fun, but you need to invest your time and energy and to become a better person, better business person, let's say. And there is just one only, I think that's the only way, just take action. So if you don't gonna take action, you don't gonna see deals. You don't gonna see deals, you're gonna quit. And you're gonna keep doing the W2 job and you're gonna go at 9 to 5. And I'm today I'm in the point that I quit my job. I can do the wholesaling full time. I'm starting to buy in like 2 months. I want to start to buy like at least 5 properties. And the journey is starting, to start get me some, first of all, when you see the money and when you see, okay, I make like 70,000 in the last 5, 6 months, and you're like, wow, that's crazy. So the proof of concept, you get to a point of saying, okay, how I can do right now 10 a month. That's my goal right now. I want to get to a point that I'm doing 10, not 3 to 5. So just going and getting better. And this is where, I think people need to just be consistent, because if you don't gonna be consistent, that's not for you.
Yeah. Well, consistency does seem to be a rarity nowadays for sure. Chris
Yeah.
said that's also how he does it. Like he'll have people bring him the lead and he'll help walk them through the whole process and help them close some of their first deals too.
Yeah. That's the way to go. And again, I think, SubTo is amazing. And I just did my first cash deal like a week ago. We closed. And that was crazy easy. When you do, before that I did only SubTo. And now I'm in a point that, after I did my first cash deal, I want to do more of those, because it was like so, and it was also on the market. It
Yeah.
was,
What makes you like the cash deal more than the sub twos?
man, it was on the market for 210. I called the agent, I give them an offer 120, they accept it, send the contract the same day. After, sending buyers to the house to walk it and tell me, if they're interested or not, okay, we understand there is like foundation issues. Okay, call back to the agent. Hey, we have foundation issues. We didn't know about that. We can do 100,000. She said, no, we can do 110. I said, okay, 110. Found a buyer in 130. There is like 3 people involved in the deal. So I brought the deal, I close it. I JV with someone to display it. We display it to someone that display it to someone else, to hedge fund buyer. So me and my partner, we make like 14, so we make 7, and the other partner makes 6. So in like just one deal,
Nice.
there's like 20K that just spread between 3 people, and you're saying like that was too easy. It's not make sense.
What you got, Tyler?
No, love the story. Love everything so far. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we
Yeah,
got you, bro.
Okay. Yeah, nice to meet you, Ofek. And I had a quick question about your dispo process for your sub two deals, being out of state and stuff. We do a lot of cash deals too. Love cash deals. We do novations also. And
nice.
something I really never scaled out. I've done a few sub twos, but they were like local. I was going to the property. Some of the ones I've sold were like to people I knew, or like I got really lucky with the buyer. So I guess dispo with the sub two deals has always been something that has steered me away from sub two, I guess, from wholesaling sub two deals, I should say.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's a valid concern, I will say for sure. Uh, the way that we're handling that is for now, because we're not in a point that we're too big, so we JVing with people. So for example, right now, if I'm gonna have a sub 200 contract, the first thing that I'm doing, I'm JVing with someone that's gonna put it on investor list, and they're gonna work to find a buyer. So I'm gonna say to myself, okay, me and my team, we're gonna focus just on closing deals. And I have people that this is their process. So go do your thing. This put a deal for me. You get 60, 30. Let's say we're gonna do like 40% to them, 60% to us, or I have deals that I'm doing 70, 30, right? So I think if it's not how to do it, it's who gonna do it for me. And this is why it's so important to JV with people and have this type of resources, because if it's in Texas, I know who's gonna display the best. If it's in Atlanta, I know who's gonna do it the best. So I just have, there is a book that Pace talk about, and when I read it, it's kind of changed my mindset. It's who, not how. So you need to find the who. You don't need to know how, right?
Yeah,
So for
yeah, you're
For
right.
the
Goes back
dispo,
to the
I think,
basics.
just JV with someone that have buyers. In the meantime, you can post it on all the groups. I found like that in the last like 3 deals that I've done. I found people in the groups. Just post the deal and people reach out to me. I'm interested, sending them a contract, boom, find a buyer.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, because we built our buyers list here over the years, cash buyers list. And, that's all we really do is wholesaling novations now, where we're putting the deals on the MLS and selling them that way. And
Yeah.
a lot of times they do turn out to be cash deals too, just listed on the market. But that's what we're using for Dispo, right? Is our buyers list and our. But yeah, I love that. Who not how. Even with local deals too, probably we can probably reach out to somebody with investor lift or something like that.
Yeah.
Because we come across sub twos, well, my closers do, and we kind of just don't do anything with them right now because
Yeah.
the dispo process.
Yeah, man.
So
Again, just use people that have the resources that you don't have. And
Yep,
then you're gonna learn from them how they're gonna do it. And in the future, you're gonna do it. That's
yep,
everything.
yep.
You want to do multifamily, JV with someone that doing multifamily, learn from them doing that. Everything that
Yes,
you want to do.
sir. Yeah, you're right.
But can I ask you something, Tyler?
Yes, sir.
So you're doing cash deals. Where are you located?
I'm in New Orleans.
Okay. You doing only there or you have different markets?
I've done virtual. We started doing some more virtual marketing in other areas. I've done a couple deals. They were always JV though, usually I would JV with somebody in the community on those wholesale deals. We were trying to do more virtual deals. Um, we've been doing a lot more marketing lately to do novations because that helps with the dispo problem that we run into whenever we get a deal in another market. Um, we're just putting them on the MLS now, but we're mainly still here. I mean, 90% of the deals I do are in my market, and I do have a
What's your
team.
marketing? What you doing for marketing?
Just cold calling mainly. I have 6 cold callers, and about 4 of them, 3 of them are fully paid through my referrals. Through the call center I use, I've referred enough people to where basically my marketing budget is like half.
Nice.
Um, yeah, so I just kind of have them on, and I have 2 closers that live out of state that are commission only that are locking up deals, and then I've got a boots on the ground that's also doing acquisitions in Dispo. He's also a partner. Um, he's not in here today though, I don't believe.
I love that,
oh,
man.
not just
Yeah, yeah, that's pretty
Tyler, I was
much
gonna
my whole
tell you,
setup.
reach out to Dan Major. He's a friend of mine from the community, and that's all he does is nothing but dispo.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, and it's really just for the sub 2 deals, that I get outside of this area. And really even sometimes when I get them here, it's just finding that because really the only sub 2 deals I've done, I've assigned them to retail buyers. I've never assigned them to investors. So
That's
I guess
good.
that's the difference too, right? I'm always maybe my terms are not good enough for an investor, right? So like maybe that's the problem I'm having with sub 2.
Sometimes, yeah, it's more about, to know what your buyers want. And I think that's the biggest tip that I ever get from someone that doing a lot of deals, that if you're gonna find a buyer before you're gonna find a deal, that's the right way to do it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
someone tell you I'm looking for 1, 2, 3, and you find 1, 2, 3, you don't need to search for a buyer,
Yeah.
you
Yeah, I
know?
guess that's always been my hiccup with sub 2. I'm always looking, I'm always thinking, all right, I'm gonna assign this to a retail buyer. Like I'm always looking because that's the only way I've done it, right? Like the buyer's entry fee was like 30 grand. They're paying what the property could rent for on the monthly payment. So we were able to wrap it. Like that's how, but it's like finding those buyers, I feel like is my biggest hiccup.
Yeah.
Um,
Again, maybe you just need to know to, I guess but maybe just to negotiate a little bit more down,
yeah,
because
yeah,
most of my deals I'm selling them with like 7, 8% entry fee after my assignment.
gotcha. Okay,
I lock them up in like 3, 4, 5% that have enough spread. Because I know
gotcha.
that not if you're gonna sell it in like 10%, that's can happen, but that's not happen all the time. Because if it's not cash flowing as LTR, if there is HOA, if there is everything, there is something, right?
Yeah, yeah, I
So
agree.
yeah, but man, if you need some help maybe with those that is a SubTo, and maybe I can help you, I would like to see what we can do.
Yeah, no, I know we could definitely do some things. I mean, I've got marketing turned on in a few areas that you actually stated, a few of the states that you stated that we're just kind of testing things out, mainly
Yeah.
for novations. But I know in getting those leads, we'll come across some people that would be a good sub 2 fit, and maybe that's when I can connect with you
So
and see
when
if
you
we
do
could.
innovations, you basically partnering, you all sell these deals or you doing this by yourself?
No, I'm wholesaling these basically. So with the novations, what I'm doing all these myself. I'm not JVing with anybody, on these, but I'm just doing the same marketing I'm doing to for the wholesale deals. So just got a lot of leads coming in from that. And we'll give them, a cash option, and then we'll give them a novation option, basically, where we're just going to list the property on their behalf on the MLS, and we just list it on the market for them, and we're basically assigning it. Sometimes I'll do a light clean out, like one right now we're spending maybe about $2,000 on it, just cleaning the property out, and then we're listing it on the MLS for them. And on that deal, we should be able to make about 30. We've never made less than like 30,000 on a novation yet, but you have to disclose all that to the seller, right? Like they know what you're making, they know what you're doing. You're not really hiding anything. With like a wholesale deal, it's a little different. You kind
Yeah,
of you shuffle buyers through and they don't really know what's going on with this. Like it's like full disclosure. Everything
yeah,
is kind of on the up and up. But that's the strategy we've been trying to do. That I mean, most of my pipeline is that right now, our novation deals now.
yeah.
But we're trying to do them in other states too.
I heard a lot of people that doing the innovation that you have a lot of problems sometimes when they get to a point that they understand what you're doing and they don't like it anymore and they start,
Yep.
make problems. It's ever
Yep.
happened?
No, not with us, because every deal we've been very clear on the front end exactly what we were like, what this type of transaction is and what we're going to do. And um I mean, we kind of give them a net sheet like, hey, here's our cash option, here's our white glove service option, which is innovation. And then, obviously you can list it. And we tell them, hey, you could probably list this thing for like 200,000, but you're going to have to clean it out. You're going to have to do all the things, right? We can give you 100,000 cash. Oh no, that's not going to work. Okay, well, we do have a middle option. It's going to be like 150-ish. Obviously, we need to make money, but we're going to handle the listing process for you. We're going to clean the property out. We're going to do all the things. And basically, all they're signing is a limited power of attorney that gives us the ability to list their property on their behalf. And it works with a lot of sellers that live out of state or just don't feel like dealing with it, inherited the property, things like this. But I've never had an issue where the seller got mad at what we made or anything like that. But it's because of I know a lot of people that are doing innovations aren't really disclosing fully on the front end what they're doing. They try to sneak it, and that's where deals will blow up in your face. Um,
Right.
and I think a lot of people in SubTo also there's different definitions for novations. A lot of people think of it as like a full flip, like they're flipping the entire, like they're putting $70,000, $60,000 in these properties. I've never spent less than more than 3,000. I've never spent more than three
Really?
thousand on one of these. Yeah.
Nice. How many innovations you have done?
So as of right now, we've we've actually done probably like four-ish. Four, I think we've done four total, and then I've got four in the pipeline right now.
Very good,
But
man.
and we still mainly wholesale, but we're trying to do more of these.
Yeah. And you making on those like usually what, 30,000?
Yeah, I've never made less than 30. There is one right now where we're making it's 20, it's split four ways, so we're not gonna make much on that deal. But it was a wholesale deal that I turned into a no innovation, basically. A wholesaler brought it to me. A wholesaler brought it to another wholesaler that brought it to me, and then we're doing innovation, so there's a realtor involved. So like everybody's getting paid off like a $20,000 spread. So
Interesting.
that's been the smallest one, and that one should be closing this week.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah,
How long
yeah.
it's take from like for the start to the finish usually?
I would say from contract to close on average, it's been I actually have that number. I think it's like 70 days or something like that is the average. So we tell sellers it's going to take 60 to 90 days. With our wholesale deals, our average time frame's like 30 something, 40 days from
Yeah.
contract to close. So it takes
So
a little bit longer.
yeah. Okay. But you're doing those like in your city, right?
Yeah. Yeah, just our area for now. We've been trying to do some more. We've been doing more marketing in other areas to get some deals over there, but we just kind of started testing that out.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, that's really interesting, man. I would like to know more about it. I never done any innovations.
Yeah, man. I'm sure. And that's the thing, I know you said you're doing some off market now, right? Direct to seller marketing. So you could definitely find some of those deals in there.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's a win-win sometimes, definitely. I mean, every time we do it, obviously we're able to give the seller more money and they're able to solve a problem and they don't have to deal with the headaches of you know, listing a property and doing all the things.
Okay. Last question.
Yeah, no problem.
What's the list that you focusing on in the innovation?
I mainly focus on niche lists, county records, parish records. I have a VA that pulls all those records every month, but I would say another good one recently for us is the basic absentee owner high equity list. I've
Okay.
surprisingly been getting really good. I've never really tested that list out enough as much as I should have, but I would say high equity. I call it the tired landlord list. It's high equity, absentee owned, and they've owned it for 10 years or more. Those
Okay.
three filters right there, and I'm getting it straight from PropStream. So that list is good. And then all the, like I said, all the government list. I mean, there's always motivation in there.
Yeah. Nice,
You
man.
know, probate, divorce, pre-foreclosure, all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it. That's amazing. Yeah, so it sounds like you're doing good, man. And yeah, if I can help with anything with the sub too.
Yeah, no, I think we could definitely partner up on some deals. I'll get with you on some sub twos. I'm sure we'll get together on doing some novations. And if you want
Yeah.
help with more cash deals, I mean, I've done over 250 cash deals, wholesales. So, I could definitely help you out with some of those.
Yeah. I would like, man. I will definitely connect with you.
Yes, sir. Let's do it.
Hell yeah. Chris also said that you have to talk to the agents and the sellers so you can understand how the deal will work, understanding how the structure allows to know how to make the call or how to take the call, which, we covered that. Like you said, you get that green light from that agent. And if you can even get that three-way call, that way you can kill two birds with one stone. You can do that, all the education in real time.
Yep.
Yeah, but those usually are not like deals that it's off the market and then you bring it on the market.
I think he was just making that comment. Like he was just kind of saying that, you have to really educate in order to get to that point. And I was just re-emphasizing that's what you were saying earlier about getting that green light. Like you're doing the education to keep them on the phone, right? Because otherwise, like you said, some agents can just be rude. They might be like, "Oh, I'm not interested in sub-2, click."
Yeah.
But you educate them to a point, and they say, "Cool, well, send me an offer." You're saying, "No, I'm not going to send you an offer. Why don't we do this? Why don't we make sure we got the green light? Since you said your seller would be interested, why don't you get him on the phone right now?"
Yep.
Yeah, I love that because you can uncover any objections right there on the front end, and then that's just gets you closer to the finish line.
Yeah, and you know what's also I learned from Pace on his calls because really every call of Pace, it's like 2 hours education just on that. And when you see like he bring the objections before they come, that's like, such a high level. And I start to do it. And let me tell you which type of question you don't ask. Can I give you one? And they say, yeah. Okay,
Hmm.
what happen if I don't make the payments? Oh yeah, well, what really happened? And then you covering all this stuff, and then you ask, okay, after we cover all the objections, you have any more concerns, or pretty good to send you a contract? I guess yeah, you can send me.
Yeah, I love that. What about LOIs? I know not the LOI blaster. I already heard you said that, but another thing, a tool that I've used to uncover objections and questions they probably didn't even know they had. What I would do is I have a simple one-page letter LOI for sub-2, seller finance, cash, whatever deal type, and I'll text that to the realtor or agent while I'm on the phone with them. I'm like, hey, let's go over this together real quick. This is the offer, right? This is basically a scenario what we could potentially do. I'm not saying this, this isn't obviously the end agreement. But let me text it. Did you get that? Okay, can you open it up? Let's go over it together. I'll literally text them a PDF or a screenshot from my phone of like a letter of intent to purchase
Yeah,
the property subject to of this address. And then it kind of breaks the terms down a little bit for them. So it's like easy peasy, nice. They understand it. It tells them what happens if I miss a payment, tells them, you know, it uncovers all the objections right there from that one paper.
yeah.
Do you do something like that? Like, what are your thoughts on that? Because I've heard good things and bad things about it. I guess it just depends.
So just a week before we started to use a CRM, the bottom leads one, we sent like 800 LOIs in 2 days. And it's also sending like a text message and an email. So it's like, touching like, and then you have also in the section of the pipeline to call them. So that's working pretty good. You get a lot of people that say no, 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 but you get like 5, 10, 20 people that saying, yeah, I'm kind of interested. They have solar panels and blah, blah, blah. And it was like what, 4 or 5 days ago, and we have already like almost 2 contracts from that. So what I'm doing usually before that, I was just calling them, and let's say, I don't know, the number is like 300,000 and the mortgage is like 270 or 260. And I'm kind of explaining them that the seller have like 10,000 or no equity at all. And I tell them, okay, I'm gonna send you an offer, but this is what's gonna be on offer. I'm just gonna tell you that right now, verbally. I'm gonna give them $10,000 in their pocket. I'm gonna pay your commission, and I'm gonna cover closing costs. Okay? So now I want you to just, it's a soft offer. Just go tell them that verbally. I'm gonna, of course, send you something in writing, kind of a framework, and this is the letter of intent, and also like FAQs, like a lot of questions that with a lot of answer. Probably you have that also, and I send them that. After that, we just they call. Yeah, they said all the objections. They don't want their name gonna be on the mortgage and stuff like that. You overcome that, and then basically this is where you get to the closing. But I think it's more about uh, a line that I really like to use. It's from Pace. If right now you're gonna have five offers, all of them is the same offer, the same numbers. Because usually with the SubTo, it's the same thing. Everybody gonna give them 5 to 10,000 or paying agent commission and closing cost. How are you gonna choose who to work with? And this is what I'm asking them. And then they're like, I guess the money. I say, okay, everybody give you 10,000. How you choose who to work with? And then this is when they start really to think, okay, what's really I need to like, how I'm gonna choose.
It
And then
starts becoming a reality.
yeah. And then I'm helping them to answer this. And I saying, I guess you need someone that have experience. You need someone that is honest. You need someone that you can trust. You need someone in a good communication, right? So if you have someone that give you nice deal, but is back out after like 1 week, you're just gonna have bad taste in your mouth, and you don't want to do the SubTo ever again.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really good.
Hey, Chris, I saw you had your hand up, bro. What you got? By the way, yo, Chris is the systems guy that I send most people to. And he was saying that in the side chat. He said that he helps people out with their dispo process as well.
Yeah. No, so to August's point there was like what I was trying to say there, without it being too big, was like once you understand the process of the deal structure and everything, it makes it easier that when you're talking to somebody such as the agent or so, you can then how to structure that deal. You're kind of structuring it on the fly based upon what it is that you're asking. Well, do they own it outright? What's their payments? What's this? What's that? And then you start kind of understanding that, like, oh, okay, well, I can't do this as a subject to because there's too much there. But hey, if I could bring another person in, say such as a rep or something, you're actually able to then still talk about that to the realtor to still make that deal happen, whether or not it's by a SubTo. But it's just kind of that whole thing of leading the horse to water. So if you know how to structure those deals, you're going to be able to do that stuff on the fly, which goes back to what he was talking about before. Closers Cafe, being on there and making those calls itself. And once you start understanding the deal structuring, you're just very simple of great. What are they wanting to do? What are they looking to do? Why is that? And then you start finding out, oh, well, they don't really need the money. Oh, well, so then what if we do this? And now that realtor itself, you're just kind of giving them an idea And now you're just kind of able to start structuring that whole deal together. And once they are on the hook of like, yeah, that there is something that they might be interested in. Okay, great. Yeah, hey, let's get on the phone call. Because it doesn't always have to be a subject to or innovation or anything like that.
Yeah.
But it's just totally understanding the what you're going to do, by making those calls right there. Versus most people sit there and go, like you said, they make the call and they're like, well, no, they're not interested. Okay, click, and they just move on. They leave it, and it's like, well, okay, subject to doesn't work for them. Obviously, this is why this here won't work. But then if you know something else that can help them out in moving that property itself, like now you again are becoming that hero. And just like you were talking about, providing that value, you know, providing that information. Oh yeah, hey, no, you know what, we've done this, with these type of deals, with these type of properties too, very, very similar. But in turn, I'm in, like as a rep, I'm the one that's in the middle seat there, that I'm the one that it comes back to before, coming back to the homeowner. So in turn, that's a a belt of protection for the homeowner, for the original seller, and then they're like, oh, okay, well, that's cool. So then now they understand that, like, it's not going to come right back to them, but
Yeah.
again, that's understanding the deal structuring as you're talking to these agents and sellers themselves too, to understand like what it is that they're actually looking for. So that's what I was saying, was like, you need to understand that whole deal structuring process. So as you're talking to them, okay, boom, okay, this isn't going to work because that their payment's too high. I'm not going to be able to do a subject to because I'm not going to be able to make any money on there, because automatically rent in the area is 18, but their mortgage payment is 16. And you're like, okay, that's not going to do anything. But could I get somebody in there to pay 1900, so you can still possibly make 300 off that? So it's just understanding the whole structuring process,
Yeah.
which
And
most people don't do.
yeah, I agree with you so much because, people in SubTo specifically, they looking only in SubTo. Okay, it's not a subject to, that's it, done. But no, we have so many tools and strategies and structures to use that we can do a lot of stuff even with the deals that don't work. So if we can come with a different solution, and I think this is where you provide the value, and I agree with you 1000%. This is why I'm trying, to understand the situation. And that's pissed me off, when someone's saying, why you don't need to know why the seller's selling the house. And I'm like, man, I'm coming to help you. I can come with like 7 different options that you never thought about. Like, give me like a chance. Come on.
Yeah,
So
exactly. And that's the crazy thing. It's just like, um, and so like again, like what's up too, I see so many new people now come in and they're just like they're a one trick wonder, right? And
yeah,
that's all that they're trying to do. Now, me, I came in like June of 2020, which was like 2 months after it was up and running. So like I joined when there was only like 300 people. Mr. Banks down there, knows about that too. And so like that whole time, it's just a matter of like, great, what do you want to do? Like what's got you looking to sell? Why this? Why that? How's this going to help you? And back and forth. And that there only allows me to go through and help you out further. It's like, oh, okay, well, my number's not going to work for you. But if somebody does come with you with it, at the same procedure, you know where they're going to be. And if they give you this kind of a number, it's probably not going to be real. They're just doing it just to lock it up and try to take it to title and screw things up there for you. So do watch that. And then now
yeah,
they're just
that
like,
happened a
well,
lot.
yeah,
That's happened a lot. People lock up deals that, I'm telling all the time the agents, go with that offer. Let's talk in 2 weeks. Go with that. Really. Let's do it. You know what? Go under contract. Let's talk in 2 weeks. They always come back to me. Yeah, they cancel. I'm like, what I told you.
yeah. And again, like you said, it's just a matter of that educating them, and it's just like, hey, look, you know what, even if we don't do anything, can I just, straighten you out on what a subject to is and how that there typically works. Typically it works like this. Now, in this situation, this is what I'm looking at. Now, somebody else might come up behind me and might offer, a relatively close number, but a little bit lower. okay, that's fine. But if it's something dramatic, no, it's not going to work, you
Yeah.
know? And this is why. This is what you have to look at. This is what they're looking at. Now,
Yeah.
again, I'm not, this may not even work out for us, but hey, you know what? At least let me give you some insight and stuff. And if you still have more questions, feel free to give me a call back, or have anything else. All right.
Yeah.
So you're setting them up to come back to you.
When you set yourself in a point that you are the expert, and I'm doing this a lot, that I'm telling you, hey, you know what? It's probably not gonna be a good, it's not gonna be a good deal for us. We're gonna pass on that. But if you have different offers from SubTo, reach out to me and I will tell you if it's legit, if it's good. And they reach out to me, man. They tell me, hey, we just got an offer, 20K to the seller. They're gonna pay me 3%. I say, yeah, they don't gonna close.
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh yeah, well, they said that they're gonna give me 10. It's like, dude, you got, like, the numbers just don't add up,
Yeah.
and like, why? I
And
mean, even as it is, like JVing and stuff, people come to me and send me over these deals and stuff, and they're like, hey, what's this look like? What's that look like? I'm like, dude, like, you ain't got nothing. I did like a 2-hour session where it was like a quick 5-minute analysis, right? And I went through and I broke down, like, I don't know how many deals, but it was in a matter of like 5 minutes. I call it the 5-minute analysis. And all it is looking at any and all these deals that are emailed to you, that are sent to you. And I went to the free group, the private group, my emails, and other various sources themselves, where people sat there and said, hey, yeah, this is a deal. Look, it's the cash flow is $500. And I just went through there and I just totally destroyed those deals. And I'm like, they're like, well, what did we learn here? I'm like, what did we learn? Like, well, all these deals suck. I'm like, yeah. So if they're coming to you in this manner and you're looking at them, they suck.
yeah,
And they're like, wow, like, that's crazy, because it's like, yeah, cash flow is $500. What's your cost of capital? What's the down payment? What's their terms? What's the rental rate? And this and that. And you look and property management and this and that. And like, all of a sudden now you're negative on it. So okay, then great. Now is it worth your time? No. But if you got a $500, cash flow, and the property itself is renting out at 2,000, 10% for property management, that's $200. 10% for vacancy and repairs and stuff, that's another $200. Uh Round it up and just call it about $100 for the SubTo insurance. You're already at 500. Well, you still haven't even put any money into the deal. So at that rate, like, I don't need to look at anything else,
yeah,
and everyone was just like, oh my goodness, like, this is such good stuff. I'm like, yeah, people don't look at it. People don't understand it. And especially when they go, yeah, I got a SubTo deal. And it's like, okay, great. What is it? And they're like, well, the seller wants this, and they want this much cash, and da da da. And it like winds up being something else. And you're like, dude, that's not even a SubTo, or that's not even seller finance. So they're like, well, what's the difference? And it's just like, okay, dude, I don't even want to work with you then, dude.
yeah. Yeah, when someone there was a difference, you're like, okay, never mind. Bye.
Yeah. So,
Well, and to your point too, Chris, like one of the deals I got back from a broker actually, a lot of times the brokers, sometimes when they do bring you deals, they're just trying to kind of dispel their garbage.
right.
Like I got a mobile home park deal sitting in my inbox right now. All the documents on the due diligence from a year ago. Now, why do you think that is?
Right. Because it hasn't moved. So obviously the deal's got to be structured differently. And if you don't like what
Mhm.
I'm presenting, then okay, you're like, what's your situation? Why you have to have this number? Again, that's going to be digging into that process, that suspect there a little bit more, because it's been sitting there for a full year.
Yep.
Now, if it's just somebody that's sitting there saying, hey, well, it's because I don't have to sell, this is just the number that I want. Okay, well then great. That's absolutely fine. They're
Yeah,
just wanting too high of a number. They're not a true seller. They don't have any pain. They don't have anything that we need to worry about. But so many people will sit there and try to convince themselves and everybody else that there is a deal because they're wanting to sell. So just like you were saying there before, just because they say that they want to sell doesn't mean that it's going to be a deal. And too many people do that. Well, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, you'll do a sub too? Okay, yeah, great. But they don't even understand the numbers.
See that every day, and I'm telling you, a lot of people that I'm working with that Pace call it the one-itis, that they have one lead and they're like spending so much time and try to make it work, but it's not working because there is no enough motivation. In the meantime, you can generate at least like another 30 leads that one of them gonna beg in that, yeah, send me a contract. And then you
Right.
can say, oh, so that's a lead,
Yeah.
you
I mean,
know?
I'll tell you this so too, like when I first jumped into SubTo and I did my first transaction through the SubTo as solely by myself, I acquired the lead, I structured it and doing dispo and all that. Man, like it really sucks because I had to put everything else on hold while I was trying to get that one. And so after that, that's when I was like, okay, I am not doing this by myself. So number one, I don't like doing dispo. So I know everybody else that does dispo. So it's like I know 10 people that all know 500 people. So I'm like, that's 2,500, 2,500 people, that actually, or whatever, 5,000 people that know a lot more. So I'm like, great, you do that and you bring the buyer, I'll split the fee with you 50-50. I don't care. And I'll tell them like, hey, this is what I got locked up for. And if they can turn around and add on another 20, 30,000 to it, like that's fine. Like we're gonna split that, you know?
There is a sentence, it's better like 50% of watermelon than 100% of grape.
Right. Well, see, I don't want to sit there and have to like doing dispo is just as tedious as going direct to agent or seller, doing the outreach. So it's still just as tedious, but yet I would rather be in control of it by being on the front side by acquiring the deal than being on the back side doing dispo where I don't have any control,
Yeah, I agree
you
with
know.
you.
So that's just my opinion on that. But yeah, like that's what I was getting at was, you got to understand your talking ability to people of your deal structuring. So you can just structure those things on the fly and just be like, oh, well, they're not even interested in that. Oh, no. Okay. Do you understand? Yeah. Great. Can you explain it to me? Yes. Okay, great. This is why it wouldn't work. Yeah. Okay, awesome. And now you're like moving down the next path. Okay, that path is too much for this. Da 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 da. This one might work. I might be able to help you out with this, but this is how it's got to go down. And just being able to do that stuff on the fly is very, very crucial when talking to these sellers and agents and stuff because it shows what you're doing. And especially instead of just saying yes, yes, okay, cool, we'll take it, and you can't do anything with it.
Yeah, no, of course. And I see it's a lot of, it's happened to a lot, but I think once they get it under contract and they can't sell it, this is where they understand that it's not the right way to do it. And it's happened
Right.
to me on my first one. My first contract ever was in Tampa, and it was like 3% interest rate, but the monthly payment was like 4,800, was crazy high. And the rent in there is like 3,000. And I said, yeah, that's a deal. It's a good deal. Never sell it. And then I said, okay, I need to underwrite it before I lock it up. And that's a lesson. But Chris, I have a question for you. How you approach when, for example, it's a deal, you want to lock it up and you want to wholesale this deal. What you saying to the agent? Make sure, when you assign it, they don't gonna freak out.
I'll generally just go through and just let them know that I might be bringing in a partner of mine, which, could be a money lender or an actual end buyer or something of it. But I might be bringing in somebody else with me on this. And, so that way in turn, they know that it's not just me, but in turn, I'm working with somebody else as well.
Okay. And then, when you close, you tell them, hey, this is the buyer.
Yeah. Like whoever the buyer is, if I'm the one that's actually there to bring the buyer, yes.
Yeah.
If I'm like bringing you in to help me out with that, hey, you are my partner on that deal. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Even if you are the one that brings the buyer in, hey, I partnered with you. Why? Because how I structured my JVs is, um, like when if you send me a lead, right, and I'm JVing with you type thing, my contract is with you and you alone. If you went to Adam to bring in for him to bring in a buyer for this transaction that you brought to me, and you and me are working together, my contract states that it's only you and me. So if you and me are splitting the $10,000 fee 50-50, that's 5% to me, 5 to me, 5 to you. And Adam's trying to come in and you're like, hey, I got to pay Adam. Adam's coming in on this. That's fine. You're sharing your fee with him, not me, because my contract is only between you and me. You bring
Right.
somebody else in from the outside, you're splitting your fee.
Of course. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah, but that's what I do too. That's just how I do it. And it's like, if Adam is the one that's going to be bringing in that buyer, great. That's between you and him. Or I can, flip it around and say, hey, I'll pay you that short fee, that small amount of fee, and I'll continue on with Adam. I'll go through and do that too.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, the way that I'm going around that is I'm saying, usually to the agents before we go under a contract that we gonna sign the contract. We probably going to change the LLC name and we're gonna bring one of my partners. So once we go under a contract, one of my partners is gonna walk through the house and they're gonna see, after doing the inspection, all of that. So that's kind of where I'm coming about it. But there is deals that I'm just saying, hey, I'm gonna also that. I'm gonna market it to my buyers, just FYI.
Oh
And
yeah, most of the time they don't really have much of a problem with that because it's you are reaching out to your own side of buyers. I just tell them, hey, I might have somebody that this might work for that might be a buyer on this. I'm going to go ahead and reach out to them, and if I do, I'm still in this deal. And they're like, yeah. If you know of anyone that wants this, yeah.
yeah,
And then
but
maybe then it might be something where I just say, hey, Adam, here you go. Adam is now the buyer. I go, hey, Adam, here you go. There's this deal. And he goes, yeah. Hey, I want this. Now I can then just turn around and sit there and say, hey, I'm going to go ahead and step out of this, pass them off to the realtor. So that way the deal can already continue to just go through and close with them.
but you
That way in turn,
do
I'm not
any
having to be like middleman. I'm just like kind of connecting them at that point. Saves me on paperwork and headaches and hassle.
sure, but the question is, how do you know that, for example, Adam is not gonna go behind your back? You have any contract with him before you share the address?
Oh yeah, most definitely. If I bring him in, it's like, hey, I'm going to go ahead and bring you two in together, but here's my contract that I'm going to get paid this amount of money. And he goes, okay,
Okay, you're doing like a standard JV, I guess.
yeah, pretty much. I'll do that just so that way I'm not having to, like go back and forth between me, you, and him. I don't
Right.
want to deal with that here. Here's you two. Adam's going to be paying me that certain amount that him and I agreed upon. And he's like, yeah, man, that's cool. So
Fair enough. Yeah.
I just do it like that because then it makes it easier on me.
Yeah, that's true. I tried to do it right now the first time because someone that, freak out about the assignment. And I said, okay, I will just bring the buyer directly. But I signed with them like NDA, not to share the address and stuff like that. And then, they said, okay, I'm not interested. And then after like a few weeks, it's go maybe under contact with someone else. So I was like, I don't know if it's them, if it's not. I really
Yeah,
can't.
that's again is where you got shady people at, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
Probably you don't know everybody, right? You don't know all
right.
the buyers.
But if you can at least still put that in there, like in my contract. So if you bring me a deal, a JV contract or a JV property, and I go through that, immediately, like I won't talk to you about the property unless you fill out my form, which is automatically generating out a JV agreement with you. And so that just means that, even if you send me the property and I close it like 6 months later, right? You're still liable to get paid. Now, whether or not you've stayed in touch with me or you answer your phone doesn't really matter, but you still have that agreement that you're supposed to get paid a specific amount of money for that property for submitting that,
Right.
you know. So
How are you
I do
doing
that
with
just make it easier for me.
automatically, man? You need to share with me that.
Oh, dude. You want that? Dude, I got it where as I move those properties down the pipeline, as I'm, doing that, all that outreach, you're getting, you know, the person that did the submitting is getting followed up with.
Okay. Which system do you use? High level?
Yep.
Yeah, this is
So I do that, and so, but like it's all automated. So all I got to do is just go through and work the lead, and the automation just happens. So hey man, hey, we're in follow up with the seller. You know, details look good. We're in the acquisition side of it. You know, we looked it up. Numbers look good. We're moving forward. Um, hey, we just sent them an offer. Hope to hear back from them and hope they sign off on it. You know, and then again, you're getting notified on that. So we just sent sent it in to sign the contract for it. You know, now we should be getting paid here soon. And then now it comes down to like, once we're under contract, hey, we're now under contract on this property. And this is another reason why I don't want to do dispo, is because if you're, let's say the property's over there in California, obviously we're not going to do that, but California sucks.
Yeah.
But so that, let's just say that the property, you locked it up or got it over there, and even though we went through and we locked it up, we did that whole process. That's your neighborhood, that's your market. Once we've got it locked up under contract, I'm going to go right back to you and just say, hey, you bring a buyer to the table, well, I'll split that fee with you 50-50. I don't care what it is, because I don't want to have to sit there and go find all those people. It's your market, you should know those buyers.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing, because the dispo, I guess it's not that hard, but in the same time, it's something that I don't have time to do.
It's tedious.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's why I like doing the JV setup there. I just do it all automated. So as I just make things happen, you know, whether adding a note or a pipeline or something, you know, moving them in a stage or something like that, that person that submitted that is staying up to date with everything, whether
Yeah.
by email and texting, and that way they're just staying up to date with everything, and they're not having to follow up with me. I can just send these things right to them. They actually know where the lead is, you know, what stage we're at and stuff like that. So
Right. Okay, that's amazing, man. I would like to. It sounds like you're doing a lot of automation and systems and stuff. So
oh yeah, like I've built systems for anywhere from 2 people to teams of 30.
nice.
Yeah.
How many deals you doing a month?
Huh?
How many deals you doing a month?
Depends on now, because I've actually kind of stepped away from the whole dealing side, because I actually do the systems for people, and I'll make money out of their transactions for being their systems operations.
You want to be my? You want to?
That's what most people usually want to do. And so
Yeah.
then like at that rate, I'll sit there and say, hey, you know, how I typically do that is like, hey, for a percentage of every transaction, you know, we agree upon that. And for a percentage of every transaction, that there's my fee for getting paid out of the whole thing, or a regular monthly recurring fee regardless. So essentially, let's just say I'm going to get 5% of every one of your transactions. If you did 10 deals in the month, I just did 10 deals too.
Yeah. No.
So that's where it's like,
you're gonna do a lot of deals. Trust me.
that's where you know, people ask me just that question. So how many deals do you do? Like myself, that's a lot smaller number. How many deals am I been a part of and transactioned with? That's been a lot more.
That's actually smart. You're working on equity, let's say, more
Yeah.
equity inside the deals.
Right.
So that's smart. I like
Yeah.
it.
Thank you.
Yeah, using your superpower, and that's what you should do.
Yeah,
And,
exactly. So Adam knows what I can do. You know, he sees my principles on everything too. Like even when I'm doing that, I interview you in like what you're needing to do, and like why you want it done that way, why you're doing it this way, um why, you know, what your process is, what you're trying to accomplish with what your, you know, workflow or automation that you're, you know, wanting to create, and like what is that goal trying to do, you know. And I will go through there and, help you figure that out, help you make it better, help you streamline it. Because maybe like what you're asking for is maybe not even needed whatsoever because it's already inside your system. You just have to go somewhere else to go get it right there.
Yeah, no, I just use, that's crazy, the eye level. I never use that like I'm using now because we have, the process of the LOI sent, text message, then we need to call. After that, we
Oh,
add to pipelines, follow up every 14 days, 9 days, stuff like
yeah.
that.
Yeah,
Generate
I
the
do all
contracts
that.
in 5 minutes.
Yeah, I do all that too. So I've also got my own LOI generator in there too, with the full follow-up on there.
Yeah, that's pretty
So
cool. And
so
that's
like
work.
what you were saying there too was when you were talking about that you go more to the agents and talk to them more versus just, like mass blasting out. Um that's, my approach on it is it's better to have, strategic conversations and stuff like that. And so then now you can actually send out a potential offer with everything that you just talked about that you've already explained to the realtor, to that agent, and now you're putting it into writing exactly what that particular deal, not just random deal, but
Yeah,
that particular deal that you just talked to that agent about with the 275 400, and the, insurance and like whatever else, their mortgage balance of 282 746, right? You're actually putting those numbers in there instead of just a generic setup.
yeah. That's what I like, to make it more specific. Like, hey, let's have the conversation. Let's figure out what's going on. And I will send you exactly what we just talked about. Because everything we're saying here, it's going to be on the paper.
Exactly. And now they actually have something in writing.
Yeah.
Now in turn they then
Not
have
bullshit.
yep.
Yeah.
So now you can actually take, that agent can take what you gave them in writing and now be able to sit there and use that to when other people call them and go, okay, well, what's that? What are you talking about? And now they can actually sit there and be like, well, what you were talking about was absolutely right, you know.
Yeah.
So it gives you that much better of an approach in that aspect. And just like when you were talking about that, you would rather have that strategic call with the sellers agents or whatever. So like with the way I see it is like, mass blasting those offers out to people. And like you said, agents are like, thank God you're calling me and explaining this to me because I get these things all the time and I don't even get them. Right.
Yeah. Man,
So
right now, before we just started the Zoom, I have, the list of to call. And I just before I call, I see the conversation on the eye level. And I see this guy get an LI, get a text message, didn't answer, nothing. Call him, yeah, they're open to do subject to. And I'm like, oh my God, man. Like if people just waiting for that to happen, it's insane. You just need to have the call on the first 10 seconds. Yeah, they want to do subject to. I'm like, okay.
yeah. Well, like not even that. So the whole thing of the whole mass blasting is that if one agent is receiving 20 offers on the same property every, on that day, well, your offer went out at 8 a.m. My offer went out at 5:24 that they actually saw at the back end of the day, which now is going to be the first that they see. They're not going to, your first one at 8 a.m. in the morning is not going to get seen, most
Right.
likely, so
Also,
now
it
it
goes
comes
to the
into that,
spam.
right? That or it goes to the spam. And so when I look at it is like, and if you're gonna just blast out like that, that's like taking a handful of 20 darts in one hand, throwing it at the dartboard and trying and hoping and praying because you're not being strategic with anything. But I would rather take those three darts and be strategic and get, three bullseyes. You know, now I've got a better ratio than what I do with trying to send out all those 20.
Yeah. And again, I think everything is working. You just need to know how to do it right.
Exactly.
Because everybody have the same tools, but it's just how you use the tools. It's like knowledge. You have the knowledge, you just need to know how to use this knowledge. Right? So that's what I think, kind of put us in a different spot from another people because people just sending that, go to their job, waiting for a phone call or an email to come back and hopefully maybe make a deal.
Right. Because I don't grasp the concept of 2 days later you're calling up the agent. Hey, yeah, did you get my offer? Who are you? Like, why would I even look? Okay, here's the other thing.
Yeah.
Why would I look at your email, even if it came to my inbox and I don't know you? I wasn't expecting anything. I'm not doing that. Now, if I have that conversation with you and I send that out, so when I send out that LOI, which is already a template set up in there, all I got to do is fill in the blanks and I click send, it starts going through the whole follow-up process. So basically, I'll send that out and like within about 2 hours, it says, hey Adam, I just sent out that offer to you to this email, and I'm inputting their email address in there. Just let me know that you got it or whatever. And so then now, whether the email is right or wrong, 9 times out of 10, they're generally picking it up, answering back to that text and going, yeah, I did get that. I'm still busy at work. I'll get back to you on that. Or no, that's not the right email.
Yeah.
This is the correct email. Now that I'm carrying on that conversation right there.
Right.
So like that's how I look at this stuff.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. And I think that's the right way to do it. Again, I never was a big fan of the Alloy Blaster. I'm still not a big fan because it's more, it's not, I can get, I think, more deals just, being on the phone with them and send LOI on what we just spoke instead just send thousands. But it just, I think, just another revenue of leads because I just got one just from that I probably didn't get if I was doing just the calls. So
Right.
the tool.
Yeah, it is true. It is still a lead generation. It's
Yeah,
just like there's so many people like nowadays that still come to me and say, hey, I want to be able to mass text out everybody. Sorry, you can't. That's said and done and gone now. You can't do that. So now what do? I go through and I get people to opt in. So once they opt in, then it's free game. Then I
yeah,
can go through and do that. But now once they all, so I use chat bots and all other variants of AI and stuff. So, like for instance, the chatbots, if someone were to go to my website, that chatbot will converse with them about different types of transactions and what that looks like. Now, they're not that person that visits your site is not ready to talk to you yet because they're too ashamed of themselves itself, but they want some information that's going to come through to them and might provide them a pivotal a pivotal piece of information that might be very important to them to progress or a realization, right? But they're still too scared to talk to you, such as a foreclosure or someone that's in the need to sell their house. They don't want to talk to you yet because they're still too ashamed, right? But now if they're talking to a bot on there that can converse with them about all that information on there and the difference, how you can help them out, answering basically like any question that they have. Now, do you think they might be more inclined to actually book an appointment with you to find out more? And or let's just throw out the bookings. My website having that on there, giving that kind of information versus Adam's website that it might have some stuff on there that they might have to sit there and read and try to find where it is on that website versus just a bot that'll sit there and just, converse with them and tell them about everything.
yeah. No,
Like
I think the
mine's
automation
providing more
and the
value.
AI is such important thing to use, especially right now in every business, not just real estate,
Oh yeah.
everything. It's so crazy that you can really like, you don't need a lot of people in your business when you have this type of tools and you know how to use them. And it sounds like, I think you have a big advantage when it's your, area that you kind of, you're expert in this area. So that's really good, man. I really like it. And I would like also to see your systems and websites and stuff, if you can share with us after that.
Yeah,
Is
I'll drop my information back in here again. And then yeah,
yeah.
man, let's set up a time.
Yeah, would like
So
that.
we're getting close to the top of the hour. We're gonna kind of start to put a bow on this. So you have any big projects coming up? Anything new that you're working on besides building a team up?
So yeah, I want to start to buy in 2 months from now. So I would like, to connect with people that buying SubTos and kind of more doing pad splits, co-living, group homes. That's kind of the area that I want to get inside of. So that's the only thing that, you know, I didn't start to work on that yet, but I'm on my way there.
And where can people reach out to you if they want to get in contact? Maybe they have a deal they want a JV on, or they just want to sit down and have a chat.
Yeah, they can reach out to me through Facebook, Instagram, whatever. My Instagram is Ofek Maman 1. And of course on Facebook it's just my name, Ofek Maman. And yeah, basically I'm looking to help, you know, a lot of people just to provide value, even if, you know, we're not making deals or something. If I can share with them anything, that would be great. But yeah.
And finally, what would be kind of your parting advice to a new investor, especially to the people that are new to like communities and art and real estate investing in general?
So I think it's more about consistency and to put yourself in an environment that, you know, people that actually making the thing. So I will say just be consistent, learn from people that already do the thing. Don't try to do everything by yourself. That's not the right way to go. Everybody starts, you know, alone, and when they find kind of, you know, a group of people that doing the same thing, they saying, "Oh my God, how I never done it with them from the start." So that's, you know, something that you're gonna hear again and again and again in this community, and this is why people usually join a community, not just, you know, for the private money lenders and the resources. That's just a bonus, but to do the things with the people that actually, you know, if I'm doing gold selling and I can have people that also doing gold selling, we're doing the same thing. We just can help each other. So that's, I think, my advice to new people.
Beautiful, man. Um, yeah, guys, I hope y'all got a tremendous amount of value from this. You know, we'll definitely have to have you back on in a few months and see kind of where you're at and if you've moved into any new stages. Guys, you know how this goes. We do this every Sunday. We do them live. If you ever feel inclined, you can find the Zoom link either on my story, his story, or on my timeline. So the only thing that we ask is that if you got value, if we made you think, if we made you smile, if we made you laugh, that you come back or and you bring a friend next time. So then, peace, guys.
Guys.